we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. With you and I, the future is bright.
There's an answer. The Slob 90X program. Just look at these results. In just 90 days, these 12 Slob 90X DVDs will put you on a program to weaken those bulbous shoulders and build a thick wall of fat around your midsection.
SLOB stands for slow, lazy, ordinary body. In just 90 days, I can help you become a computer nerd, a party animal, or just a plain old lovable slob.
Hello and welcome to Lunch Therapy. I'm your host Joel Marshall. This is Interview Friday, but I'm flying solo today. Today we're gonna have some reels and reels of great advice, great stories. It's a retrospective of some of our greatest recent guests and maybe not so recent guests. A lot of information here for comedians. A lot of information for people that are aspiring to be comedians, for corporate speakers, for people in the corporate world that want to spice up their presentations, their PowerPoints, etc. And we're going to go over a few highlight reels of shows that we have had recently, because sometimes it's important to just go back, because we just keep moving forward and forward and forward, and there's all these just gems of wisdom and great stories. And today is going to be a great thing for that. Also, if you know somebody that hasn't seen the show before, or maybe has missed some episodes, this is a really good episode to send to them. So let's get into this, because we have a lot of cool stuff. We're going to have Judy Carter, Dean Lewis, Dan Pasternak, Lena Green, Mort Burke. These are all interviews that have happened recently, and Judy Carter, who is the comedy goddess, I believe that happened maybe a year or so ago. We're revisiting that. Let's get into this thing. First, I want to say thank you to the Patreons. Thank you. Patreons fund this show, allow us to do shows like today's show, and also Tuesday's show. Tuesday we have a contest where we give away money. Yeah, every Tuesday we give away. Last Tuesday we gave away $30 to one of the incredible trivia players. So check that out on Tuesdays at noon. And then also Interview Friday like today. You can count on us being here for you to take a break from the crap. There's a lot of crap going on. There's government shutdowns and people crying over peace prizes and all kinds of weird stuff going on there where you're like, what the heck is going on? I need some grounding. I need somebody sane to tell me some jokes, talk about something other than deporting people. So let's get into this. Let's breathe. We always breathe at the top of the show. This is Chakra Vibrations. This is a chakra rebalancing. It's your opportunity to rebalance your chakras in just 5 minutes. We like to breathe while doing this. In through the nose, out through the toes. He says out through your mouth, but that works too. Take a deep breath in all the way down to your toes. Bring your awareness to the base of your spine. Let it go. Visualize a deep red light glowing there at the base of your spine, rooting us. That's exactly what I was talking about. Sometimes we need to be rooted. Sometimes we need to be roto-rooted. But that's another story. It's a good place to come on Tuesdays and Fridays to commune with people and also to breathe and to take a little bit of time to be in community and present. One more time, in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. Also, if you have a suggestion for guests for the lunch therapy, you can email mythclubchannel@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your suggestions because we love to have great guests on this show. mythclubchannel@gmail.com, not co. Boney is my assistant. He's typing challenge sometimes. There we go. mythclubchannel@gmail.com. Send us something. No viruses though. Don't send those because we don't need those. All right, feeling grounded energy. Now we're going to listen to a little hand pan from Marcel Hutter and Helene. Marcel Hutter and Helene. Don't know Helene's last name, but I like how you can hear the birds chirping. Marcel seems to play Helene's hand pan too sometimes. I guess that's okay in the hand pan world. I've never seen that before in a band where like somebody's playing one instrument and they reach over and play another one. That's kind of it's an innovation. There's a lot of innovations on this show. All right, let's get into this. Lunch therapy, that is cute when he plays her instrument. It is. It's kind of cool. It's like when you're driving and I try to steer. That is not cute. You're driving along and your wife tries to steer the car for you, or sometimes she will try to honk the horn, which is really embarrassing because a lot of times she will honk my horn while I'm driving. And I'll turn over and there'll be just, some giant guy in a giant truck with a gun rack. And I'll be like, that's probably not the person I would have honked at. Probably would have honked at maybe somebody in a Prius, somebody a little smaller, no gun rack. Anyway, let's get into this thing called lunch therapy. My My wife thinks she's bigger than she is, more physically stronger. I think she thinks that I am. I know some kind of martial arts. My last name is Marshall. My dad was an artist. I'm an artist. It's debatable. It's a flower. But it doesn't make me a martial artist. Just to clarify there. So today we're going to look at some highlight reels. And I went back and looked at this stuff and I was like, oh my God, there's so much information that you can't even retain it. So it's really good to see, hear some of this stuff again. The first thing that I'm going to show you is the great Judy Carter. I don't know, many of you have read her books. She has this great book called The Message of You that we're working through right now, which is a way for you to find out what you personally can speak about in keynotes and the corporate world and all these places that actually pay you money to do comedy and speeches and inspire people, and the Message of You helps you do that. I met Judy through her book, The Comedy Bible, which is another one that you should check out for comedians. It's just an amazing thing. She started out as a magician. She was obsessed with magic when she was a kid and a real young business person. And she went to do a magic show later on when she was a pro. She flew in there, but United Airlines lost her luggage. And so all her magic stuff was lost, and she had to go to the gig. And instead of performing magic, she had to just talk for an hour. And that's how she became a comedian, which is amazing. She is mighty, and I am invincible. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's listen to Judy Carter. This is about comedy structure.
One thing that is not changing, though, is the structure of comedy and what makes people laugh. And, certainly as far as subject matter goes, that changes. But something, and I remember I was asked to teach a class in Russia through an interpreter. And I went, I wonder if American comedy will work there. And it did. It did. And then I just was talking to, I put in my book, like, email me, how's it going with comedy? And people do. And I got this email from Syrian comics. I'm like, you're from Syria? You're funny? There are funny people in Syria? And they showed me some of their jokes. And it's like, it's about the same things. Like, no matter what, we're having trouble with our mother, our kids, it's really the same kind of stuff, no matter where you are.
And I think that's the most important thing, really, is just connecting with the commonalities that we have.
I think giving is an attitude that you need to have when you come on stage. It's at the essence of stand-up. If you go, I hope people will laugh, right? I hope people laugh. I need laughs. I need them. That's a really unsuccessful attitude. That's
it's like when people say, I'm getting laughs. I want to get laughs. It's not like you're getting laughs. You're giving them if they happen to occur.
Because you can't make anybody do anything. If you go, I really want to, communicate. If you go on stage, I really, feel strongly about some things. I really want to communicate it. And I want to connect to the audience. I'm not going like most comics, beginning comics think it's all about talking about yourself. And it's just so misguided. It's really about, can you engage the audience?
This seems to be something that's a recurring theme with comedians that we have on the show. There's a lot of talk about, should you tell stories? Should you do crowd work? Do you do a little bit of both? Should you just be doing one-liners? What do the different venues require? Do you go to a club, a comedy club, and the people want to laugh every few seconds? And if you don't get a laugh every few seconds, then you're not doing your job. And then there are other comedians that you see that will just tell these long stories with laughs in there, but not necessarily, just one after another. And what do you do with that? And then there are also other comedians out there that are saying like crowd work is lazy, and that it's just a way to not do material. And a lot of times it's just the same questions that, what do you do? Where are you from? And all that stuff. But you'll see Judy Carter and also Dean Lewis, who we'll show some clips later, talk a lot about engaging the audience and doing the show for them. So it's an interesting balance, because obviously we get into comedy, I think, because there's something that we need out of it. Anything that we do in our lives, we kind of do because there's something that we're getting from it. But then always we have to turn our attention from just ourselves outward to like, what are we actually providing here as a service? Let's see more about Judy Carter. So a lot of times comedians want to get stage time, and we're like, how do we do this? There's particular things in the comedy world, things called showcases, or comedians call them bringer shows, where you go and you're with a whole bunch of comedians in a comedy club, and you get like 6 minutes or 10 minutes, sometimes 12 minutes. Is that the only path? Well, I asked Judy about this. But
essence of comedy is doing something different, like
Yeah.
a civilian, when asked, hello, how are you? They'll say, fine, good, lie,
Yeah.
essentially. And comics will go, I'm fat.
Yeah.
So that's inherently what comedy is all about, doing something different. Yet when it comes to the business side of show business, we do the same thing. We'll all go to the same comedy club. We'll all go to some
Right.
kind of play.
We'll all do the same
We'll all
thing.
do the same kind of thing. Well, what I have found is that your first step is to get out of the house. Okay. I think giving is an
Giving.
attitude that you need to have when you come on stage. It's at the essence of stand-up.
All right. Boney had a little glitch there. I don't know what he was thinking. That it was a good point. Giving is the thing that you're doing. So one of the things that Judy talks about also is about finding your niche, and how you as a professional in something else, like a lot of times people come to comedy from all kinds of different professions. And if you can do comedy for that specific profession because you know that one thing, you can find a group, you can find your group and find the people that are going to understand you. Here she talks about corporate gigs, which is really eye-opening, because a lot of us comedians, we don't even think about how we're going to make money at it. And she's like, there's money on the table out there. In fact, there's a lot of it. And we're like, where is it? I don't know where it is. Incredible laughter is our umbrella when we shoot out those thunderbolts and we make it rain. I like that. Shoot out those thunderbolts. Laughter is our umbrella. He was reminding you that it's been a long time since you've given Boney any lunch. Yes, he was. Sometimes my assistant Boney sabotages. I mean, let's face it. That's what he does. Here's Judy talking about corporate gigs.
Well, one of the reasons I don't need to make money right now is because, corporate gigs, when you're a corporate speaker,
Mhm.
you get paid a lot of money. The fee is very high.
Mhm.
And they're desperate for funny people. But most funny people are not speakers because they don't have what this book, wait, where is it? That book talks about is they don't have a message. So when you have a message that a corporate audience needs,
Mhm.
and you can deliver an entertaining way, I discovered you could make a really good living doing that. And so so the corporate gig I discovered is that there's every city, there's thousands of meetings taking place, and they need to have somebody to really excite the audience, to open their convention with energy, or close it and leave them laughing with a great positive message. And they will pay a lot of money for that. So it's like, take whatever career you have, even if you hate it. If you're a radiologist, if you're a nurse, if you are whatever you are, if you start putting up funny stuff about radiologists or nurses, or you develop something like that, you're going to start getting a following. And then you could start filling seats. So you could find a little place, a little bar. Maybe the bar has 30 seats. Hey, Tuesday night, I want to do my funny nurses show. Everybody brings, some people. You do a set. I mean, to me, it's all about what niche you're in.
There you go, finding your niche. All these things are like real, like business ways of thinking, which a lot of times we as creative people, we don't think that way, and we have to learn how to think that way. Judy Carter is now compiling this book. It's going to be coming out soon. It's going to be just about corporate gigs and keynote speaking. She has the one message of you that helps you find kind of what your voice is, what your topic is. But now she's going to have something that's even more specific about that. And I took this, she's one of these people that really gives to people. She doesn't need to a lot of times. She wants to help other people. So she did this whole workshop where she was simultaneously working on her book and using parts of her book to teach the workshop, which helped her develop it, and then also helped other people understand, the concepts. And I took one of the last classes of that, and I met this guy, Dean Lewis. There was this guy, Dean Lewis, there, who after the workshop led a little mini workshop in the Zoom call as well. And I was like, this guy really knows what he's talking about. So we got him on the show. And this is one of the points, if you watch that episode, there is a wealth of information, and he clearly has thought this out through his 30 plus years in comedy in Dallas, Texas and beyond. But he talked about meeting and greeting the audience before the show, which is like a completely foreign thing to me. Like, I never think of like going out and talking to the people before the show, because I feel like it, as an actor in the theater, breaking that mystery of what's going to come up on stage seems like sacrilege. But he says, as far as meeting and greeting the audience before the show, you develop a relationship with them that helps the comedy and helps them feel comfortable, and also helps, I don't know, let's let him explain it. And he has an amusing anecdote regarding Mick Jagger.
So if you're doing an open mic or a showcase, or you're working at a club, meet and greet people as they come in. Why you want to do this, first of all, it lets them know who they're going to see, and you're packing the audience with your fans because they like you, because you spent time with them. So rather than sit in the back and smoke your e-cigarette and go through your notebook and go, things aren't happening, I say, go help seat the room. Don't have this, I'm not picking on you if you do this, but it's kind of a diva attitude of like, I will not be seen until I enter the stage. I think just go out there and hang and say, hey, and they buy their tickets, go, hey man, my name's Dean, I'm one of the comics tonight. I'm just curious, what brings you guys out tonight? Oh, well, it's our 15th wedding anniversary. Oh my God, what is the gift for 15th? It's paper. Oh, that's cool. What's your name? Bob and Sally. Hey, do you guys have any kids? Well, I've got 2 kids from a first marriage, and she's got 3 from a second. Wow, you guys are great. And the other thing is, because you're talking to them and you're nice, everybody knows this. Nobody wants to sit up front because of the fear that the comic's going to pick on them, or they don't want to be a part of crowd work, right? But if you talk to them and you go, well, hey, listen, I love you guys. I want you to be up front. Will you be my friendly faces? I'm not going to pick you on anything. I'm going to put you the best seats. Are you guys cool with that? So now imagine you did this to 5, 6, 7 tables. And when you walk on stage, they're going to be, all right, Joel, yeah. Versus, all right, who's this guy?
Yeah, right. They already are friendly with you.
You're on stage, you're performing, and it's a special thing you're doing.
Yeah.
But people want to be included. And you know where I learned to do this is from Mick Jagger.
Really? Mick Jagger?
I saw this was in the 90s. It was on MTV or something. And here's the thing Mick Jagger would do. I don't know if he still does it, but the night of a Rolling Stone concert, about an hour or two before the concert, he would actually go out and not even really disguised, and he would walk across the street and talk to the scalpers. And he would go to the people that are selling merch. And he was asking them, hey, what's the audience like? And what are you getting for tickets? And he was so hands-on and involved before the show. And people, imagine you're wanting to see the Rolling Stones. You've been a fan for 50 years, whatever. And suddenly there's Mick Jagger when you're buying an illegal t-shirt. And he's like, hey, what are you going to do with the tape? Like, you're like,
no way.
What an experience. Yes, that was the interview. I wish I could find it.
If it's good for Mick Jagger, I think it's good for all of us. I haven't done this yet, but I will be doing this. We're doing a show on November 22nd at the Stray Theater here in Hollywood, 7 p.m. We're going to be celebrating 700 episodes of Lunch Therapy. So that's going to be a big celebration. We're going to have people from Lunch Therapy in the show, people that have been guests, people that have been co-hosts. So come check that out. I asked Dean Lewis also about the traps that new comedians fall into. Here's what he said. What are some of the traps that new comedians fall into?
These days, and even back then in the 90s, I think it's imitation. You see a comic and you want to imitate him. And so there's things a headliner can get away with that a beginning comic can't. And one of the big ones is being too intimate too soon. So you've seen this, comics go on stage and like, hey, so I have cancer, or hey, I'm going through a divorce, or hey, they just share so much right away that audiences are like, and who are you? I always think the analogy is true that when you go on stage, it's the same thing as a first date. And on a first date, you don't open with your most personal details. So that's one of the biggest traps is everyone wants to overshare, and you have to have a build. That would be the biggest thing, but you don't want to do the things headliners do, which is everyone's there to see them, they know them, so they can overshare to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
They can tell these long stories that, it's not necessarily 5 laughs a minute. It's a long winding thing, but people love being in the room with their heroes and they want to hear that story, but you're just an unknown person. But ask yourself this question. What if Bill Berg went up in that room? Or what if Tig Notaro or Taylor Tomlinson went up in that room? How would they do? And another thing I teach in the workshops all the time is, if everyone wants to write this down, it goes like this. We're not newspaper reporters. We are comedians.
Yeah.
We are not newspaper reporters. We are comedians. And what that means is a newspaper reporter is supposed to get all the facts. It's supposed to be true to what exactly happened.
Mm-hmm.
But we can enhance or change. So if you've got a story and it's working really well, but the ending isn't working, get out of your head of, well, that's not really how it ended. Then
yes,
make something funny at the end happen. The audience doesn't know that you're lying.
Yeah, the audience doesn't know that you're lying. The audience maybe doesn't even care that you're lying. Could be that they're not going there for their facts. Sometimes we get so confused because there are all these comedy shows out there telling us the news. And we start to think that is the news, or we start to think that we're reporters. But I also remember working on comedy and then, coming up with something and people are like, that didn't really happen. But you know what? If it's funny, who cares? As long as you're not spreading misinformation out there. Now, this is another kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit disturbing to me, but Dean said that you got to have a really funny closer, which is fine. But he also talks about having like another talent that you suddenly bring out. at the end of your set. So let's hear this.
Here's what everyone needs to remember. The only thing the audience carries with them after your set is your closer. Kind of an oversimplification, but it's pretty true. And what I'm saying is, if you open strong, you're good in the middle, but your closer's bad, they're going to think the whole thing was bad. If you open pretty good, you so in the middle, but you have this amazing killer closer, they think the whole thing was great. The other one that was great was Kevin Meaney. I don't know if you know him. He was really great. Passed away not too long ago. It was just really fantastic. But his closer was, they played We Are the World,
Yeah.
and he acted out each person.
Really?
So when Michael Jackson was singing, he put on Michael Jackson's glasses. When Bob Dylan was singing, he put on like a little hat. Like he just acted out every. And by the way, so throughout his entire act, he kept talking about his mom was always afraid he would do something and put his eye out. She's like, don't do that. You'll put your eye out.
Yeah.
So at the very end of this song, he grabs the glasses to ask somebody out and he pokes himself in the eye.
Ah.
So he closes on a callback.
Yeah.
Standing ovation. He would sell out every show. And a lot of it was people were coming back to see.
So if you want to take a class from Dean Lewis, or if you want to do it right now, I'm doing this 30-day comedy challenge where every day he gives us a type of joke, and then we have to write 3 jokes and send them back to him, and then he critiques them. That's the 30-day challenge. He's doing that this month. I think it's too late to get involved in that, but you can email him at dean@deanlewiscomedy.com. Dean. Can we get that up on the, let's see. Yep, there's his email address. No spam, no viruses, but send him that, and he's just a wealth of information. Now, the next comedian that I'm going to have on here was a guy named Mort Burke, and I met him through Zach Mendez, who was also on the show, and the two of them were doing these hilarious videos online where one was like a casting director, the other was an actor. If you can check them out online, it's Mort and Zach, I think. If you Google Mort and Zach, you'll see some really funny stuff. But I watched Mort's comedy special, which I highly recommend. And I was really taken by the fact that that's what I think comedy, the best comedy is. It's somehow a balance between hilarious jokes and poignancy, things that, hit you on a deeper level, or things that are carefully considered about what it is to be a human. And I felt like Mort is somebody that seems to be really in touch with that, and a person who is really searching in a good way. Similar to a lot of my favorite comedians. Gary Shandling, I guess, would be one of my favorite comedians. If you ever watch that Zen of Gary Shandling, whatever that documentary is called, which is really wonderful. I highly recommend it. But anyway, so Mort's kind of like that. I asked Mort, I was kind of making fun of astrology on the show. I was like, yeah, that sounds like a bunch of hooey. And he actually was very enlightening and had a really great take on it. So I want to play that here.
Well, here's how I feel about it. A lot of it really speaks to things that are generally sort of good advice in a lot of ways. And in a patriarchy, Joel, or really in a materialistic society, we focus almost exclusively on materialism. But this speaks to the world of emotional experiences. It speaks to the world of energetic experiences. So, and also in a patriarchy, anything that seems intuitive is seen as a bunch of bullshit. Like to take the world of the unseen and to utilize it in our current lives is like, it's a feminine skill. And so as a dude who's only now kind of learning that I actually do have some intuition, I just try to be open to other people when they're like, "Oh, I'm intuitive. I understand this thing." And I'll tell you, okay, so I'll give you one more quick, more practical thing. So I'm a Capricorn, right? Which is that, like, so Capricorn, I was always like, fuck that. Like, I'm not, Capricorns are like type A. Thank you, Kamala. I am a genius. like, like, like type A Capricorns are always like they get stuff done. They're very like they can be kind of annoying sometimes to people. And I was like, that's not me. That doesn't make any sense. I'm always late. I'm like, I can't. It's really hard for me to stay organized. But then I found out that I have an Aries moon, which means that the moon tells you about, as I understand it, I'm no expert,
Yeah.
but tells you about your emotional life. And the Aries is a fire sign, and it doesn't like to be with the moon because it's more of a masculine energy and the moon is more of a feminine energy. And so when I learned that, I was like, oh, that's why my emotional state is like super explosive. Like I have a really if I don't take care of my emotional state, it takes me over and I get really furious or really depressed. So once I learned that about my emotional state, now if I'm really angry, if I'm at a terrible open mic and I leave and I'm furious, call a friend and be like, "Hey, I have to rant for like 2 minutes. Let me just get this out." And I'll get it out and it moves way quicker. Whereas before, I think before I had that understanding of my emotional life, I would try to like subconsciously suppress it, as opposed to realizing now like, oh, my emotions move really fast, so I get really angry really quickly. But if I address it like that, they don't last as long. So it's actually helped me with my
God, I love that.
like mental health.
One of the things I love about doing this show is sometimes people surprise me with their deep thoughts, with the way they've thought things out or the angle that they've come at something. And the other thing that I love is sometimes they surprise themselves as well. And I think that's something that I go for with interviews, is to try and get the guest to surprise themselves with something that maybe they haven't said before or maybe they haven't thought before. I mean, it's rare, but it's worth it when it happens. Mort, though, clearly has thought through a lot of things. And one of the things he's thought through is why it's funny when people fall down.
This friend was like, it's funny to see people out of control. That's why, people that when somebody falls down, it's funny. If somebody farts, it's funny. And I think it's because we spend so much time trying to appear in control that it's so like true. Cathartic. And the way that social media works is it's by its very nature, it makes things disposable, right? So it makes comedy disposable, and that's fine. But that's not why I got into it, right? I got into it because to me, it's like an album. It's like something really, really special. I think art is such a special, beautiful, profound human creative experience. And what we're doing now with social media is we're trying to get rid of all the mystery. That's why Kendrick Lamar is so fucking brilliant, because he doesn't tweet. He doesn't go on Instagram. He drops one song on Twitter or YouTube, and everybody's like, holy shit. And they treat it like art because he is treating it like art. He's doing the work to make it profound and artful, you know?
That is something that I miss. When we were younger, obviously there was no internet. But there were also like mysteries, and you would have to like try and solve them. You'd play records backwards. You'd look at album covers endlessly. You'd try and find Easter eggs and try and find meaning, because these people were so mysterious. And then there are also certain actors and people in the movies that you would never see them interviewed. They would never be on talk shows. And it was super fun to just wonder what they were like rather than just know everything about them. Nowadays, we can just know everything. Kamala says, you should invite Mort to be on the live laugh therapy show. That's a very good idea. We'll have to see if we can get an invitation out to him. Who's on it so far? So far, we've got Howie. Howard Aronin is in there. Ginny. We're going to have Mama J. Patterson from the Netflix The Trust and also our Tuesday show. She's coming out all the way from Kansas. See if we can get Mort. I don't know. We're still building. Now here's Mort talking about jealousy, which is a really, really difficult thing sometimes to deal with because we know we shouldn't be jealous of other, especially other performers or other comedians or actors or people in our same profession. I'm sure this spans through all professions. We know that it doesn't help us to be jealous. We know that we should be happy for other people, but sometimes it's just so hard. Howie! Jay taking United? I hope so. That would be really cool. You guys could go right from the plane to the club. You could maybe work it out. You know what else I want to do, Howard? I want to do some elder care facilities where we go and we work out our comedy there. Where we call them up and we go, hey, you want a complimentary show? And then a bunch of us will go and do it. I don't know. This has been recommended to me. I think it might be a good thing. Let's hope they're not flying into Burbank because there's no air traffic controllers. Right? Oh my gosh. Okay, here's Mort talking about jealousy.
I don't like competitions, really.
Yeah, I
but
don't
then you're
either.
put in this place that is like highly competitive. So it's
Yeah.
like you can't help but experience jealousy. And then you go to LA and like the people that you're competing against, like I had these experiences. I moved here from Chicago and I would be like sweeping the sidewalk in front of the restaurant that I was working at. And somebody that I used to do shows with in Chicago, their face would come by like on a bus, you know?
Oh, I got the
Just like
same experience. Same
Yeah, just the
experience, for
exhaust in
sure.
my face and like,
Yeah.
and that's kind of amazing because it makes you really have to deal
Yeah.
with the jealousy because it's either going to make you like super bitter, which is useless, or you're going to learn how to try to let go of it, you know?
Let's see what Chuck has to say here. Chuck Goldsmith. Would have been so cool if people our age could have had what we have now with Instagram, Zoom, Facebook, be able to talk to our heroes and musicians and actors and singers. Now we're a little bit older than them. Yeah. Kamala says, I'm so dealing with that right now. Yeah. Well, you just deal with that like on a daily basis. And it's like, it's so toxic for your own self-worth. Doesn't help, right? Doesn't help. But it's like, where do you put it? You know, sometimes anger and all these things, like, where do you put it? That's, it's a good question. You transform it. They used to say, out-create it. When I was at the Beverly Hills Playhouse, that was one of the things they said, was if there's something that's bothering you, just out-create it. Easy to say. Sometimes harder to do. Chuck says, take Judy Carter because she does magic in place of the air traffic controllers. Yeah, maybe we can get Judy Carter on that plane or in the air traffic controller. Really affects my state of mind. Yeah, I think that happens to all of us. And that kind of stuff just kind of comes at you out of nowhere. And you're like, and you feel like, I'm an asshole for feeling this way, which is a terrible thing to feel. Feel like I don't deserve to feel this way and it's really wrong. So, okay. So another one of my guests was brought to me by Elizabeth Croydon, who is a longtime friend of the show, longtime friend, hilarious comedian. She said, you got to get Dan Pasternak on the show. And I was like, great. And we were lucky enough to get him on here. And he was a television executive. And a lot of times we as comedians, actors, we feel like we're outside the castle. You know, like there are these castles around Los Angeles, the Paramount and Sony and these big studios. Sometimes we get behind the walls, but generally we feel sort of out of it. We don't know, like, how do people pitch shows and what's it like to be one of these executives? Well, we found out from Dan Pasternak, and turns out it's just like us. He's also a comedian. He's on the wall at the Comedy Store. He made a living as a comedian when he was going to film school. Anyway, great stories. Got him right here. He says he's OCD.
So I like to say that if I wasn't in front of the television in a movie theater, in a legit theater, in a comedy club, in a record store, in a bookstore, I was seeing an endless parade of child psychologists who diagnosed me with both what is now known as ADHD. I was on Ritalin, I was on Cylert, and also OCD, which I determined that my particular manifestation was obsessive comedy disorder. I do have these clinical diagnoses, but I'm trying to make them work for me, Joel.
Yeah, we got to work with what we got, right? We got to work with what.
So I was doing stand-up and writing for comics
You were
all through
doing
film school.
stand-up. Were you making money at it too at the time?
It was the
like your
80s
day
comedy
job?
boom. It was helping to pay my way through film school. I mean, it was a strange and wonderful time. I mean, it was the 80s comedy boom. So, I mean, there were so many places to do stand-up that if you had 20 minutes of material, you could work, 52 weeks a year as an open.
Those were the days, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's today. Or maybe we just have to find our niche, like Judy Carter says. Dan was one of those kind of self-made people. He was a little kid. He went and saw Dr. Demento at the Tower Records, who was performing at the Tower Records. Next thing you know, he was on stage. He was singing a goofy Dr. Demento song by Spike Jones. And then also Brian Wilson from the Beatles was in the audience. And he also met Mel Blanc early on. Big, Bugs Bunny's voice, Yosemite Sam, Foghorn Leghorn. Let's hear this story about Mel Blanc. It was the craziest, coolest story.
And this is an amazing story, and his doctors have backed it up. So this is going to sound like something out of a movie, but his doctors every day would come in and talk to him. He was alive, he was on life support, but he was in a coma. So they would talk to him, Mel, how are you doing? No response. Mel, how are you doing? No response. One day the doctors got a bright idea and said, hey, Bugs Bunny, how are you doing? And Mel said in Bug's voice, just fine, Doc, how are you?
What a great story.
And he said that every day the doctors would come in and talk to different characters, and he would answer in those characters' voices. So Mel liked to say, I was dead, but my characters were alive. It was revealed to me that also in that crowd, and there are photos to prove this, was Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys.
So you went to Tower Records on Sunset to see them and to see Dr. Demento, and then you found yourself in the show. Is that what happened the first time that you saw him?
Yes. He invited me onto the show, and I sang my rendition of the Spike Jones classic, You Wanna Buy a Bunny. The vocalist on the original recording was a man named George Rock, who was a large man who somehow could do the voice of a small child. I, at 11 years old, unsurprisingly, was very deft at also singing in the voice of a small child. So I sang this song, You Wanna Buy a Bunny, and got a rousing round of applause from those in attendance there at Tower Records.
Oh my God. Now we got to remember John Candy. Did you meet John Candy at that time?
I did. So John Candy had just done a film for Paramount, directed by the great Carl Reiner, called Summer Rental.
Oh, yeah. And I saw it, of course. I saw all the John Candy, all of it.
And he was magic. I was a huge SCTV fan. And in fact, when I first met him on the lot, so as the intern on the lot, they gave me a little golf cart to drive around. And I would see, this was summertime in Hollywood, it was really hot, and I would see John Candy kind of walking, sort of lumbering. This is, a massive lot in Hollywood, and he'd be sweating, and I would pull up, and I would say, do you need a ride? And he seemed grateful to accept my offer. And so I would say, oh, what time are you going to be done with your meeting? I'll drive you back to your car. but again, he's John Candy. So of
Yeah.
course, I'm talking about all my favorite things that he would do on SCTV. So
Mhm.
he would do the voice of Yacht Schmengi of the Schmengi brothers for me. And
Really?
I mean, he would do the William B. Williams laugh. And I mean, Mel Blanc, by the way, was that way. Like, he just, Mel loved kids, and so he would always do voices for kids. And I sensed this same kind of like childlike ebullience of John
Yeah.
Candy as
What a life. What an incredible, incredible life. And yes, Howard, I did say Brian Wilson of the Beatles. He was in there for a little while. After Pete Best left, I think Brian Wilson was on the drums. It was just a moment in time, but some of us know all the details because we were there. I was there. So the next and final guest for today's retrospective is this beautiful person that I met at the darkest, deepest, darkest, scariest open mic in all of Hollywood called The Hollywood Comedy. The Hollywood Comedy. She hosts over there. She brings light to this place. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. Lena Green. Let's hear her talking about being a comedian.
I wish I wish there were more things that people could watch to see how comedians have to live our lives and the way our brains are working all the time, and it's fucking, it makes you go crazy.
What was that like having a mom who was with the Dallas Police Department?
It was crazy. I've tried to talk about this more because especially what happened with out here with Black Lives Matter. I grew up in a police family, and that was really hard for me to kind of compartmentalize like how this organization, these people are perceived, and in the world that I lived in, this was what put food on our table, and this is who we saw every Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
We're part, when you're in a cop family, you're always in a cop family, and you're part of, it's called a family. And you spend Christmas with these people, and not perfect people, no one is, but it was really hard, like to see. And I'm like, not all, not, and I've had to have these conversations. I did have a joke, I think it's at the end of my special, about being in a cop family and like what my experience when my mom passed away. So it was just one of those things that was really tough and weird to navigate. But I'm glad we're having conversation, because I did see, like, you did see bad cops. You did see that.
Yeah, you did.
And you also saw really good ones. And I think it's important to highlight people are not bad or good. They're both. And when you share, you never know what, like, I remember when I was talking about my mom, like, people would come up to me like, thank you for talking about death. So many people's parents had died during COVID.
Yeah.
That like people needed to talk about it. And you get a conversation started when you just put it out there. And I know we're all like, it's an ego thing sometimes. It's like, do I think, am I funny enough? I am who I am. You leave it or take it. I'm gonna still keep trekking on.
But check out Lena's special. It's on YouTube. She is a triplet. She has two identical sisters. She's also on television a lot. You'll see her in a lot of guest spots and a lot of things. She's a real up and coming, amazing person. Sometimes comedians can be so self-deprecating on the stage that you don't realize they're like superhuman people. Sometimes we're trying to find the comedy in our foibles, falling down and all that stuff. And you find out they're like super high functioning people. And she's definitely one of those people. I think the most surprising, or one of the most surprising things that she said was that she was climbing mountains, trekking up mountains. And I'm going to end with a little quote from her. about her adventures climbing Machu Picchu and various other exotic locations.
My mom had passed away,
Mm-hmm.
and I was going to explode. Like my body couldn't contain my soul anymore at one point. I needed something, and Machu Picchu was my first one in Peru, and that was such a beautiful experience. I was like, every year I'm just gonna keep doing these climbs, and I go with meetup groups of people who mostly all white and older, way older than me, and they look at me and they're like, who do you think you are? At first, there's always
Really?
like that
Yeah.
moment, like, who are you? Why are you here?
Huh.
And then they understand, like, oh, this is a person who is really in search of something. And I think on the top of a mountain, you learn a lot. You learn a lot on the top of a fucking mountain.
Is it about perspective? Is it the climbing of the mountain? Is it the looking out over the world? Is it the camaraderie?
Oh, it's all of it. The climbs are so hard that it's a physical exertion to your body that you don't usually do in everyday life.
I hope you've enjoyed this little trip down some of our memory lanes for the show, because there's a lot of content out there, and there's a lot of interviews out there, and so it's good to have Boney here to go through and pull out some of the really interesting parts. And thank you everybody for joining me today. This has been a real treat for me, and hopefully it has been for you. I've had some great guests. We got great guests coming up too. This guy who wrote the comedy writing for late night book. It's kind of pertinent these days. He's going to be on the show. Joe Toplin is going to be on Halloween. And also next week, got a real surprise for you. I'm not even going to give it away. It's just going to be a real fun one next week. Thanks, Chuck, for being here. Thanks, Howie, Kamala, everybody who is here. And we're looking forward to flying United Airlines for the show on November 22nd. I will be flying United Airlines from my house in Hollywood over to the theater in Hollywood. Hopefully we can charter a plane. I know some people. Hopefully, if you need any lunch therapy, come here Tuesdays and Fridays at noon, and pass this one around for people that maybe it's a little sampler for those that may have never seen the show. Time for our classic dance break. Michael Gonzalez. Go Mariners. Go Mariners!
We're gonna ride till we fall. They say we got no future at all. They wanna keep us out, can't hold us down anymore. Gonna ride till we fall.
When we hit the bottom, nothing's gonna stop us. Climb to the top with you. We could be the greatest ones who ever made it. Yeah, I could be talking you. They're tryna hate, but we won't change anything at all. Oh, we're gonna ride till we fall. They think we just dropouts, living at a mom's house. Parents must be so proud, they know it all. They don't speak our language, they say we're too savage. Yeah, no, we don't give up anymore. We're gonna ride till we fall. We're gonna ride till we fall.